Hey everyone, in this video I'm going to be talking about a feature I'd like to see in certain immersive sims, or any game like the ones I'm going to be talking about that are built to allow for extensive systemic and emergent gameplay. I know, that's a vague and perhaps even pretentious statement, but hopefully the examples I'll be using will help clarify the kind of games I'm referring to. So I'm going to be formulating this argument mainly in relation to Prey and Dishonored, because I've been playing these particular games a lot lately, and it was while playing them that I came to this epiphany. But you could probably take what I have to say here and apply it to many other games with similar game design principles, like the original Thief games, System Shock, or Deus Ex. Right, the feature I'd like to see in these games is a mode which forces you to play adaptively. Now, that statement also sounds pretty vague, but hear me out. In short, immersive sims provide the player with a wealth of different rules, systems, and paths that are allowed to intertwine and bounce off of one another and can result in small stories specific to each individual player. Immersive sims are reactive. Your decisions and mistakes during gameplay have immediate consequences that are either felt instantly or later on. The idea of playing adaptively, of accepting your decisions and mistakes regardless of the outcome and rolling with it, is one which Arcane in particular really tries to stress with its marketing and general game design. But a big issue with all of this lies in being able to save and load your game at any point in time. This simple mechanic means there isn't really terribly much at stake in gameplay scenarios. If you screw up your mission, be that by killing the wrong dude, or killing too many dudes, or simply by wasting valuable resources that could be put to better use elsewhere, you can just quickly load a very recent save and repeat the process with a couple changes here and there, or with an entirely different strategy. To me, that kind of tarnishes the immersion in the immersive sim. In general, I just think that games like these need for there to be more consequence for your choices. Yes, as I've already said, there are often immediate seen and unseen repercussions, but those repercussions can be erased entirely in an instant. We need something that really amplifies the intensity and the satisfaction gained at the end of an encounter or a mission. Think of how Dark Souls and Bloodborne have gone about adding consequence to failure in a fair and meaningful way. If you mess up and get killed, you lose all your souls or blood echoes and have to go back to where you died to retrieve them, often by killing the monster that killed you. Shadow of Mordor's Nemesis system allows for changes in enemy hierarchy depending on who kills you. Now, Dishonored 2 actually has a ton of customizable difficulty options, even allowing you to change save settings. You can set it to multiple save slots, like the base game, a single save, or permadeath, which isn't really the same as what I have in mind. I must acknowledge that both Prey and Dishonored already have autosaves and checkpoints, and you can force yourself not to manually save or load your game. Or you can manually save at certain points that aren't close to one another, like at the beginning of each mission, and never load an autosave. Or you can just use the mission select in Dishonored and approach each level with permadeath in mind. The whole idea behind this genre is that you're given a whole bunch of agency and choice, and this save system directly supports that. You could probably say that my argument is running a bit thin at this point, but I, for one, am always tempted to save my game before entering a challenging scenario in any game which allows it. And I'm willing to bet that nearly everyone watching this is exactly the same. As with any video game, the player will likely not do something unless they are encouraged to do it. The system that I personally believe to be the most applicable to immersive sims like Prey and Dishonored is the one used within Resident Evil, Dead Space, Alien Isolation, and a bunch more, where you can only save at certain points if you're able to find them. These points are few and far between, meaning if you die, you may have to replay a decent chunk of the game to get back to where you were before. Obviously, lots of games have checkpoints only, but in order for this to work, those checkpoints mustn't be close together. Either way, manual or not, this save system would easily ramp up the tension in Prey or Dishonored because it gives you more of an incentive to plan and execute attacks efficiently, and if those fail, engage in thrilling improvisations as you desperately struggle to stay alive. Searching for saves would incentivize exploration too. Because they'd have to be one-off saves, the player may become greedy. They may try to do too much before saving, which would amplify the effects I just spoke about. Obviously, these games would have to be built from the ground up with this feature in mind. I doubt that this would be a simple matter of patching it in. You may object to this idea because, as I've already pointed out, Prey and Dishonored entail a decent amount of experimentation and repetition. You won't really know if combining systems will work out how you expect until you actually test them. And even then, neither you nor the developer can predict everything. You don't have control over everything. There isn't always that perceivable consequence, as they call it. And especially in these games, executing strategic attacks relies on a decent amount of trial and error. Frequent manual and autosaves are necessary because they facilitate experimentation. They allow you to learn. There are a bunch more issues you could bring up, like the fact that in Prey, mimics can be annoyingly tricky to detect and they can kill you unfairly sometimes, but that's beside the point. And all these reasons are why I think these games would need this adaptive mode to be optional. Something you try after your first or second playthrough that you activate before the game starts, perhaps integrated into its most challenging difficulty. And those are my thoughts on this topic as of right now. What do you think of this notion and how it could be implemented in immersive sims and similar games? Thanks for watching the video. I hope you found it interesting or thought-provoking, and I'm keen to hear what you have to say. Whether you agree with me or not, I think there's one thing that we can agree on, and that's the fact that save systems are important in games because they do affect how you approach the game in one way or another. Alright, have a good day. I'll see you all in the next video.